Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of Permissible Paths, talking to Muslims about permissible paths in entrepreneurship. Today we have Sister Sherimma, owner of the Ummah shop, retail shop selling items from different Muslim businesses. The store is located in King of Prussia in PA. It's available online, correct?
Yes, we do have a website too.
Okay, so you can also buy online. She is also the host of Unplugged, where she is talking to Muslims who are pushing the Ummah forward. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you? Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, I'm okay. So, like I told you a little bit before we press record, I do like to go through numbers at first. How long have you been a store owner?
I have been a store owner since April 2021.
Okay.
So, year and a half, year and 3/4, almost 2 years.
Okay. And I think I heard on your podcast, you were also an accountant. You did an accountant business before this.
So, I went to college for accounting.
Okay.
My mom is a CPA. So, when I was in
Okay.
high school, I worked with her. And
Okay.
throughout, I've been doing accounting for probably like 15, 16 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
Um, would you say accounting is a bit of a passion for you?
Um, Accounting can apply to a multitude of paths.
Mm,
So I was doing accounting for small businesses and nonprofits. Like I started doing accounting for schools. So
okay.
that I loved. Like it's you really are making an impact with what you're the back end of it,
Mm,
but to do something that makes a difference,
mm,
um, where that you can see your work, coming to life.
yeah.
And so I really did love um, doing it for small businesses and nonprofits.
Okay. And just from the store alone, if you do feel comfortable sharing, like what would you say is the highest amount you've made in like a month about?
In a month, ooh, probably. See, this is an accurate. I mean, this is accurate, but it's not. I made six figures in
Okay.
5.
Okay. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. That um is not I don't want that was during a very special time
Right, right,
during the pop-up season.
right.
Um Not the norm, but it was, yeah, an amazing, like when we first opened. It was great.
Okay. Okay. Now do you still do the accounting or is it just full time the Ummah shop?
I still do a little bit of accounting.
Okay.
So I have a few like contract I'm like a contracted employee
Okay.
temporarily right now. And I'm actually working with an organization. It's not solidified yet, but that does a lot of small business help. They help small businesses get loans and grants and stuff like that. And
Okay.
I'm working with them on the accounting side of it, because a lot of small businesses, they don't know how to account for their money. So
Yeah.
everybody that has a small business
Mm,
needs to know how to account for their funds.
mm,
But like, whether you can afford an accountant or not, you need some sort, like the old school way is like putting a bunch of receipts in a box and like sorting through them. We're not doing that anymore, I hope.
mm.
But you need to know how to account for your money, just to simply file taxes.
Yeah.
So um I'm working with an organization now to hopefully provide some services, because now I'm a small business owner now. So
Mm,
I'm my own accountant.
yeah.
Um, which is interesting, being on both sides. A lot easier for me, but
Mm,
it's interesting being on both sides. Like, if I'm doing my own accounting, I've literally said, like, how do people do this that don't
mm.
have the background and knowledge that I have?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of times people just don't get it done or hand it off to somebody. Um, that they may or may not even trust, but it's very valuable to have that knowledge in having my own business.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say that uh, for somebody who is a small business owner, that they should go and try to like learn accounting for themselves or maybe learn more about finances in their business? Would you say
Yes,
that? Yeah.
I would say so. My first my first official business
Hmm.
was Dinar Management, and is an accounting services firm for small businesses and nonprofits. So what I used to do, and at that time when I started that business, I was working full time as an accountant,
Mm.
but I wanted to help small businesses or like entrepreneurs, it's so many of us that are just doing this solo.
Yeah.
Help them, teach them how to get their accounting system set up
Yeah.
and to do their own bookkeeping, because I truly believe everybody can do their own bookkeeping.
Yeah.
You do it for yourself, like your person. Like if you pay bills, if you
Mm.
make an income and pay out expenses personally, you
Mm.
could do your own bookkeeping
Yeah.
because you know where you spent money, you know where you're making money, and it's just categorizing those things. So I
Mm.
would do like do it yourself QuickBooks trainings, which I still kind of do for people that like know me, but I'm starting that kind of back up because I work with so many small business owners who are
Yeah.
solopreneurs who don't
Don't
have
know.
the knowledge,
Yeah.
and you're filing taxes. So
Mm.
if it's a few things in life you don't want to mess with, don't mess with your taxes. It's just
Yeah.
not, just do it right.
Yeah.
And that messing up on your taxes is just, it doesn't look good for your business. It's bad. You don't want to get audited. So um I instead of, the normal accounting firm route, which is me taking on clients and doing the accounting for them, I
Mm.
teach them how to do it
Yeah.
because yeah, you're fully capable. It's literally just learning the system. QuickBooks is very simple now. Um, and I just do kind of trainings on like how you could do this yourself and when to enlist an accountant, because a lot of people do need an accountant for tax advice, for maybe even for filing taxes,
Mm.
or how to set up, whether you're a LLC, a S corp, if you have a partnership, that's when a good time to kind of get an accountant involved.
Mm. I mean, that's extremely awesome that you are teaching people that. Do you have like, because I know you said, you kind of do some personal classes. Do you have like courses? Are you thinking about doing like courses or books that people can kind of get access to that knowledge that you have?
I'm thinking about doing a course, and I guess this is my first time probably saying it, but doing it. I probably soon because a lot of people need it.
Yeah.
This this juncture of the year, and the past couple years have just been difficult on a lot of just small business fronts. With coming out of the pandemic, with rules changing, with like just people not knowing how to really, bookkeep and categorize their stuff to get um, not only just taxes done, but financial statements. If you are applying for a lot of the grants that, your local municipality has, your state has, the federal government has, the SBA has, they have a lot of money for small businesses.
Mm.
And in order to qualify for that money, you need financial statements. And they know, especially for black owned businesses, we don't have those. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know how to produce their own financial statements. And that's a key component in which you need to qualify to get funding.
Right.
So
Right.
inshallah, yeah, something's coming soon.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Okay, so I kind of sidetracked a little bit, so I'll take it back. Um, can you take me back to before the accounting, before the store? What made you decide, I want to go into starting my own business?
So I think, when you're a kid and people say, like, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
Never knew. And I always thought, I'm just going to have my own business.
Yeah.
Never knew what it was. Um, never knew even, I think my parents are entrepreneurs. So
Okay.
to me, I remember being in like elementary school and my mom being able to do my mom being able to like come on field trips with us, or um she worked so hard,
Mm-hmm.
but she learned how to do this kind of perfect dance of balance where she would be there but be like, staying up
Still
late
doing my thing.
early to work, or like, but she would be there. And I remember, a lot of my friends, it's just like they had parents who were on a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
and it was just a different schedule, a different kind of lifestyle. And I was just like, I'm going to have my own business one day
Yeah.
because I could be in control of my life. But I never had like a unique skill or passion or like uh, something that I'm like, oh, I really think I'm going to go in this direction. It was just like, all I knew was I'm probably going to have my own business. Like I started selling my first products when I was probably 8 years old.
Mm.
So, and growing up, I was always interested in business. Like I was always the person that will watch Shark Tank or like watch these business shows and be like, oh, this is a genius idea. Or like I would watch a commercial and I'd be like, who thought of this? This is genius. Like how they're selling Tide. So I loved business. So even when I was going to college, um, I was just like, I remember looking on the website and just being like, what majors are in the business school? Because I'm like, I'm choosing a major in the business school. I
Mm.
just don't know what.
Yeah.
So I think I always had it in me,
Yeah.
but had no direction on it at all.
Yeah. I find it kind of funny that so far in speaking to some of the sisters and brothers that I've spoken to, it's a pattern that those who are entrepreneurs now, when they were much younger, they did something like selling candy. They did something. And so I find it kind of funny that it later on reflected in their everyday lives. And it's what
Mm-hmm.
they do now. Um, so you didn't basically inspire or always wanted a shop. It kind of just, how did that come about going into the shop path?
So, like I said, as an accountant, I assume once I chose that path of life of just like, I'm an accountant, this is what I do,
Yeah.
I was automatically assumed the business that you're going to start is an accounting business.
Yeah.
People need it. It makes pretty good money.
Mm.
I can do it and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it just seemed like an obvious thing, like, oh, I'll just probably do this. I know how to service my people. Um, and I knew I was providing something different that other people weren't.
Mm.
So that was my automatic assumption. Is accounting my passion? No, I just like it.
Yeah.
But um the store idea really happened when I was so another piece of me is, as I got older, I always was intrigued with doing something with the Muslim community.
Okay.
So I remember being in like a corporate accounting job, and it was around the time where entrepreneurship, probably like 2015, 2016, where
Mm.
entrepreneurship it was so cool. Like it was very, hustle culture, do
Yeah.
what you're passionate about, do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. Like all that kind of talk was just
Yeah.
around. And I happen to be living in Atlanta. So it's very heightened in Atlanta. Like everybody has
Yeah.
on there. So I was like, oh, like, I love this. I enjoy accounting and I have a
Mm.
for it. But I was like, do I have a passion? Do I have like something that I'm really super into? And I was kind of trying to explore that. Like, what was I doing before I had to work? Or
Okay.
what was I doing before like I chose a career? What do I do just for fun?
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the time, I remember when I was in college, I joined the MSA and ran for the board, and I was on the board of the MSA as community service chair. Now, I didn't have to do that. Like, I was a double and a half major in college.
Wow.
I was actually, no, that was before I got married. So I was a double and a half major in college. I majored in accounting, international business with a minor in Arabic.
Oh.
So I'm like, I don't have to run on the board of the MSA.
Mm-hmm.
But I did because
Mm-hmm.
I felt compelled to, or I felt like this is what I kind of want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, and that was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I did a lot of cool stuff at the MSA. And it went kind of back there. And this is also around the time when things in the Muslim market, this like Muslim halal market, started to become more progressive. So
Okay.
things like halal nail polish, things like companies like Hot Hijab, um, Nominal, uh, started to become popular. Ibtihaj Muhammad going to the Olympics, you starting to see Muslims more in politics, and this is also around the time where like there's Muslim vloggers and bloggers, and just it's starting to pick up some like steam. It was like, wow, I never had this when I was a kid. Like these
Yeah.
kids have hijab tutorials while we were just trying to figure it out.
Mm.
I just found that to be so amazing. And then fast forward a little around the same time, I came to Philly for Eid,
Mm.
and I came to Philly last minute for Eid, and it was the day before Eid. I could not find. I needed something to wear for Eid.
Mm.
My family was having a Eid like get together, like
Yeah.
a Eid party,
Yeah.
something for my kids to wear for. And in Philadelphia, where there's a million Muslims, I couldn't find a place the day before Eid.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I couldn't find a place before Eid that I could get.
Okay.
Knew they existed because they were online. I saw them on Instagram, but I'm like, nobody has a store that I could just go get the stuff.
Yeah. Just grab it real quick.
Just grab it real quick. And I'm in Philadelphia. So I
Mm.
just found that to be like, duh, like why
Mm.
die?
Mm.
Um, so that started it. And after from that need, I was like, I think I'm gonna just open a store.
Okay.
And that was like once that seed was planted, it just never left.
That was it. That was it for you.
Hmm.
So, um, you said you were born Muslim or converted?
I was born Muslim.
Born Muslim. Would you say being raised Muslim, and raised in Philly, where there's, you know, a large Muslim community, um, that played a really big part on how you conduct yourself as a business owner?
Yes,
Okay.
I
Why
didn't
is that?
it until very recently
Mm.
that people have told me that, and I'm in a situation where I could not be as proud to be Muslim as I am.
Mm.
So I think people have told me like you're very like secure in who you are.
Yeah.
And I am. Like I know being raised Muslim. I also went to Islamic school for majority of my schooling.
Okay.
And being raised Muslim in Islamic school in Philadelphia by parents who are very unapologetic about their Islam. I don't necessarily, especially when I was in corporate America, I didn't assert it. Like I wasn't, like I would do things like take my lunch and pray in the car.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to like say to my coworkers like, "Hey, doors in." Like I'm going to go. Like I wasn't as assertive, but I was always. I never felt like I can't be in any situation and be Muslim. I
Yeah.
never felt like, oh, I need to take my hijab off to be more accepted by these people,
Yeah.
or even being in a mall where I'm surrounded by a bunch of mainstream stores that it's like I have alhamdulillah in the window.
Mm.
And people are like, "Are you okay here? Like, do people mess with you?" Or and I'm
Yeah.
like, "No, they don't. Like, I'm me."
Mm.
So that definitely, and I didn't realize until I became an adult that a lot of people aren't as confident in that
Yeah.
from their own experiences. So if I had went to um a suburban white school, predominantly white school, and I'm the only Muslim there, I probably would have had a different experience.
Yeah.
But alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah.
I'm just kind of like take it or leave it. I am who I am.
Yeah. Now, as an accountant, did you mostly deal with Muslim businesses? Like, was it kind of spread word through mouth, and so you found yourself getting a lot of Muslim small businesses coming in?
My first, well, when I was in, because I started my business while I was in Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
and I had some, my clients that were there were not Muslim.
Okay.
They were African American, but they weren't Muslim.
Okay.
But um, I also kind of started with like my friends and family.
Yeah.
They had businesses, so they were all Muslims, and I really and they all worked in varying industries. So I like my first couple clients were a massage like spa,
Mm.
um, a IT professional who did IT contractor services, auto tag store, a psychologist, and then I still kind of did some work with my mom. So the industries kind of varied.
Mm.
I had a juice bar. So the industries kind of varied, which helped me see what people needed
Yeah.
and helped me to see like how I could grow different businesses by just having their books together.
Okay. Would you say that there was a particular thing that you noticed that they kind of had trouble with, maybe even besides just understanding accounting?
The particular the across the board, nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to deal with it. They just that's across the board.
Yeah.
Another similarity I would say is I felt compelled to explain things to people because I'm like, I need to teach you how to do this when I'm not here.
Mm.
The majority of accountants don't do that because they want you to need them and they can
Yeah.
bill for services.
Yeah.
Um, I was too busy as is. So I was just like, I need to put these things together for you. Another commonality is majority of the people I've ever come in contact with don't know how to read or produce financial statements.
Mm.
So they're thinking like, oh, I just have to bookkeep. And it's like, no, like run your financial statements for this year, the year before. You start to see a trajectory of like what happened here. You're spending more here, and just correlating what they do on a day to day into actual financial statements to show the success or status of just their business and their financial health.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have that kind of comparative data, you could just operate in your business better because you're like, oh well, this is more profitable than this, or um, I, we spent more here, but it worth it? Maybe we shouldn't do this next year. It helps in the decision making a lot.
Okay. Okay. With having a full store, um, did you like jump right into full store? Was it kind of like online for a bit? How did that work?
I did not jump in the full store.
Yeah.
So I, when I had that idea, that was 2016 or 17. I want to say 17. So when I had the idea, I'm still doing my accounting business. I'm still full time, and I started it as a Instagram page called Muslim Girl Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was a play off Black Girl Magic. It was around the same time Simone Biles and like Black women were just taking over the Olympics,
Mm-hmm.
whatever year that was. So I started as an Instagram page, and I said, well, I'm just going to share the awesomeness that is Muslim women
Yeah.
with the intention to grow an audience and then eventually move into a store. Like
Okay.
it was very long term because I was just like, it's no way that I could just open a store out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. Started that Instagram page. I would share just different fashion things, just different news that Muslim women were in, which was a lot at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved that into a subscription box because that was around the time Fat Fit Fun had their subscription box. A lot of businesses just had subscription boxes.
Yeah.
So I moved into a subscription box called the Muslima box. And I started selling 4 to 6 Muslim owned uh, brands in a box. And it was
Yeah.
curated, and it was like my first box was like a Ramadan box, and it was a Quran, some like a Ramadan Mubarak banner, chocolate covered dates, a Ramadan calendar, and maybe that was it. So I would just curate these boxes and do that. Then I did that for a little bit, stopped the boxes, moved back to Philly. Uh, like years had passed in between after doing the boxes, and 2020 comes around. January 2020, I was like, I need to do this store. Like
Mm-hmm.
I need to do something. I need to, I because the idea of the store kept recurring. I kept doing research about it. I kept like,
You kept being drawn to it.
I was so drawn to it. I would like reach out to people just to get their wholesale catalogs and like, okay, this. I had a vision of like when I get this store, this is how
Mhm.
it's going to look, and
Yeah.
these are the people I'm going to reach out to. I started building relationships with some of the brands that are in the store. Um, prior years before I even had the store, I used the
Mhm.
box to like kind of build these relationships with these brands. And in 2020, I said, well, I'm going to have an event. I'm going to have a pop up event, and I did have it, but it was a lot smaller than I had originally planned because
Mhm.
of the whole entire COVID. So January 2020, I like was planning this event, put the deposit down on the event. I was going to have entertainment. I was going to have food trucks, and it was going to be indoor, outdoor, bazaar, and this whole thing. And then COVID hit, and I'm like, what? Just when I was ready to make a move, the
Yeah.
world shuts down.
Yeah.
So it was, oh, that was so stressful. But alhamdulillah, it still worked because we did it. It was supposed to be April 2020. I think it was either supposed to be before Ramadan or
Mm.
right before Eid. But it ended up being the day of Eid al-Adha, which was July 2020.
Okay, so you did the pop up again.
So I did the pop up that I was originally supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
but scaled it down, and it was amazing. People were just starting to like be okay coming outside,
Yeah.
um, and it was still like alhamdulillah, it was a great event, and we got some news coverage. We had some great vendors. We just had a good vibe. And I said, I just wanted to use the event to introduce the concept of the Ummah shop to the city.
Mm.
And then I could start working on a store. But it still seemed like, especially when
Probably.
it was just like, oh, how can I open a store in a pandemic when stores can't even open? It
Yeah.
was very far fetched.
Okay. So being as how you said you built a lot of relationships with a lot of Muslim brands, you would say it's like really important for, or would you say it's really important for more Muslims who have that idea or have that dream of creating their own brand to just go ahead and do it?
Yes.
Mm.
I wouldn't say it. It all depends on your risk tolerance,
Mm-hmm.
and some businesses require more investment than others.
Right.
So my business required more um, than say if you were starting a t-shirt line.
Yeah.
If you're starting a t-shirt, you could do that immediately.
Yeah.
There's no barriers to entry. There's, social media is free marketing. You could start, something like that very, very easily.
Yeah.
But if it is something that requires more investment or more time, I would definitely say ease your way into it, but never stop moving towards it.
Mm.
Because once you stop and you say like, oh yeah, because there's a lot of businesses who say, I used to do this, or like my business used to be XYZ. That means you put a end date on it,
Mm.
and don't stop. Like if you haven't achieved what you wanted to achieve or what your idea was, I don't stop. Just keep moving towards it, even if it's baby steps.
Mm. So for you personally in getting started with the shop, what was like the biggest issue that you had to overcome?
The biggest issue that I had to overcome before, there was a level of fear.
Mm.
Uh, there was a level of, I think I just had to get out my own way. It was a level of
Mm.
like, uh, I was very like, am I imposter syndrome?
Mm.
Like, can like, yes, I had so much preparation before this. I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna, I was confident. I felt confident in the fact that like people need this, but they don't know that they need this shit.
Yeah.
My fear was, am I the one to lead it? Like,
Yeah.
to being the face of this, like, I'm not used to being the front person of something of this magnitude.
Mm.
So my fear was more like, like I don't. How am I supposed to do this? Like
Mm.
without partners, without you know,
Just you yourself.
just
Yeah.
me. Because even when I was like telling people for years, I would tell friends and family like, oh yeah, when I open a store, it's going to be that. Like I would talk to people about this, and everybody, even in their support, was just like, oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, that's cool. So I'm like, nobody's jumping on this bandwagon with me.
Solo.
It's okay. And I made a lot of like intentional steps toward this.
Mm,
So I'm like, it has to happen.
mm,
But it was like, ooh, like I'm going to be the face of this, or like when people are like, oh, the news is coming to interview you, and I'm like,
mm,
why are you coming to interview me? Gosh. But that was like my biggest obstacle that I had to overcome because it was just me.
mm,
Um, and I think once I started to put it out, because I never stopped making intentional steps.
yeah.
So once I made enough intentional steps, it was like, oh, girl, it's too late now. You can't go
Mm.
back.
You're in the thick of it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
I find that extremely fascinating because you tend to hear that when people talk about their biggest issue, it's usually financial. So for you to say, it was just overcoming the your mindset basically that you had. Um, that's awesome because, like as you said before, a lot of people they get in their head and then they kind of stop, um, and they pursue the path that they think is the safest instead of what they want, what they really are drawn to. So yeah.
And I would say
Um,
too that like the only reason it wasn't financial
mm,
was one of my intentional steps was I saved money for this for over a year. So
okay,
there was like a very intentional, like
built
this
for it.
I was working during the pandemic, and it was like, this money is for the store.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of people don't want to do even that
Hmm.
because I wasn't living a lifestyle that reflected my salary.
Mm,
I was like, I just, to actually make a certain amount of money and live below those means. And it wasn't below, like, and it's like I'm married and I have help and all that. But it was like, I wasn't going on vacations. I
mm,
wasn't spending that money on like frivolous things. I intentionally would set aside a good amount of money every month to go towards this.
mm.
And um still needed more money when I opened.
Yeah.
So I mean, I had the money that I saved. Um I had a business model that kind of helped support the like, not having as much upfront costs. And I went in the credit card debt up on it. So it's being more um intentional and planning ahead of time so you don't jump in a financial hole. Don't have your passion have you jump into a financial hole. Trust me, it's not fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you actually hit on the finances because I know some people think a store and they go, I got to get a loan. And they don't think I can take my own money and I can do something as big as that. So you mentioned a few couple of ways that you went about securing finance for it. Were there any other paths that helped you be able to open the store?
Those were the three that kind of helped me open. I would
Mm,
say my savings, credit cards, and having a consignment business model as a part of the store so
okay.
that I didn't have to buy the entire store worth of inventory.
Can you talk more about the business model?
Yeah, so because there's not many stores like the Ummah shop,
Yeah.
majority of Muslim businesses are not even selling wholesale because who are they
Yeah.
selling wholesale to if you don't
Right.
have that many stores? There are some that are larger that can take the capacity of wholesale,
Mm,
but when I started the Ummah shop, people were like, "Oh," I'm like, "Well, what's your wholesale pricing?" That's I just will always ask people, and they're like, "Oh," I'm like, "I don't know," because they've never done it.
Yeah.
So, well, we're in this together. So let's. I'm like, I want your products. You want to be in King of Prussia Mall. How can we work out something?
Yeah.
So starting out, um, we had a few people that were on that we would sell their items on consignment. We still sell people's items on consignment, and that helped because if you have to fill up a store from things you have to pay out of pocket 100%, it's just not. You definitely need a loan.
Can you explain consignment?
So what consignment is if you a business says I have these 20 t-shirts and you could sell them in the Ummah shop. I get a percentage, you get a percentage, and we'll see how the product performs. Consignment also say if after a month none of the 20 t-shirts sell, they can take their inventory back and sell it on their own. So that worked great. That works great for me till this day, especially in trying new things out. So I might have things in the store, and it keeps things fresh too. So I might have some things in the store where I'm like, oh, like I don't know if people will like this. And the business has, a great customer base, and they have like people, they have their customers that they know like this stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, if I had it in the Ummah shop, they could easily access it because they could just come up to the mall and grab it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, instead of me purchasing 20 of your t-shirts, I can say, oh, okay, let's try it out. If they sell, I'll let you know. I'll let you know how they perform. And I have a unique value in that I can see customers' reactions to things versus when you post it online or on Instagram, you don't know what their first thought is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can see their first thought, whether that's excitement or whether that's like, oh, this is really cool, or oh, I really like this product, but if it was changed a little differently, I would like it better. That kind of feedback is so valuable.
Yeah.
And it's helped all of us just because we're all in this, like I'm new at this, they're new at being in the store. So it's kind of helped me build real relationships with like a lot of the brands, because we're on this journey together.
All right. How do you actually go about finding brands?
So since Muslim Girl Magic, I've been like, it's a hobby all day, every day. I have screenshots of brands. I have for all over the world. Like
Okay.
I used to go on like modest fashion hashtag or like Abaya fashion or Dubai fashion. I would just go on hashtags and just scroll, and I would just be like, oh, okay. This is, they kind of have this kind of stuff over here and over here. Or I would just follow every company that I would find that I felt like had interesting products. So before opening the store, I already knew certain people.
You
Like
had a list.
I had a real list. Like how all these people gonna fit in here? I had a list of people, and then I also, had people that came to me. So I had people even just locally in Philly who I'm like, I know this person she is a great seamstress, and I know she does a lot of pop-up shops. So let me reach out to her. Or I know this person, I know a lot of people in Philly really love this person's product. Let me reach out to her. Let me reach out to this person who, is just starting out, but I know these things will like kill it. I I like things. I like to shop. I like nice things. So I'm like, what would I like? But also, what do I see happening in the Muslim community that I feel like they gravitate towards?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just keep my eye on like the pulse of what's going on in the Ummah.
Okay. For you, what is marketing like for you? How do you go about that?
Marketing. So the yin to my yang is I I'm a great accountant.
Mm.
I'm an all right marketer.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the other end of like I have to do this, so I've developed some skill with it, but there's people who do it way better than me. So
Right.
um marketing, when I first started out, marketing was like Instagram. Just do Instagram.
Mm.
I was also very cognizant of when I did the event, the Ummah Shop event, and when I did the pop up, I took down everybody's phone number and email address.
Mm.
So I was like, I know, because I just learned marketing, and like I was like, I know if I get their phone number and email address, I could create an email list and a phone list and like text and email them when I get there. And I started doing that. Like every Friday now, I send out a Juma Mubarak text and email and just give people updates of like what's going on in the store, etc.
Nice.
So my marketing strategy,
Mm.
to be honest, was before I opened the store, because I knew I wasn't going to be strong in marketing, but I
Mm-hmm.
said I'm going to just leverage. I'm going to I have a business that has a bunch of different brands in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just work with all the brands and leverage their social media followings.
Yeah.
So that's helped me a lot.
Yeah.
I don't do this alone. Like all of my followers are not because of, you know, they were marketed to by me.
Mm-hmm.
They just found me. Most of the time, it's either they found the store and they're like, oh, this is a great concept. Like, I love, you know, what the store is.
Mm.
Or they were let there by one of the brands in the store.
Mm.
Or they're a business that is like a small business that either like wants to be in the store or just like enjoys the concept of serving the Muslim community. So a lot of the Muslim owned businesses, even yourself, if you're if you built a business based on service to Muslims,
Yeah.
we're in the same realm.
Oh yeah.
So we have the same, heart for this. So
Mm-hmm.
that majority of our followers are that.
I get it. I get it. Now I know you said you do the marketing. You're building relationships with the other Muslim brands. Is all of it just you? Do you outsource anything, or is it just you 100%?
I'm starting to outsource now. So
Okay.
prior to, no, it was just me. But
Okay.
starting to outsource because I realized there are people that do this way better than me
Yeah.
and easier for them. It takes
Yeah.
me more time,
Mm.
and it's they could do it consistently and they could do it well.
Mm.
And I want to focus on other things.
Yeah.
So yeah, this year I'm like outsourcing a piece of that, um because I have to.
Yeah. I think that's something that I notice a lot of, especially small businesses. Um, they kind of get a little bit, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but a little bit weary on the side of outsourcing, or maybe not knowing exactly what roles to outsource, and
Mhm.
not realizing your time can be used towards something much more beneficial for your business, rather than focusing on this thing that it's tedious, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody else can outperform you 100%. So yeah, it's definitely beneficial to outsource.
And
Um,
education
Go ahead.
is hard for me. So for
Mm,
me, it took me to get to a point where I'm like, sis, you're doing way too much.
yeah.
And alhamdulillah, like Allah I just meet different people and he put different people in my path
Mm,
that I'm like, oh, you know how to do this?
yeah.
Let me pass it off to you because
Mm,
I I I can focus on totally different things that are in my wheelhouse.
mm. Uh, to go to what you're saying, when I actually found out that you had accounting history, I was very happy. It's very rare that I've seen and I've looked for like Muslim women, or even brothers who are accountants and have knowledge about like the finances. And so I was very excited.
It is so rare.
Yeah.
Probably in my and there's a few in Philly, but they don't like they're accountants, but they don't do it for the public like they,
Mm,
as accountants for companies.
yeah.
But I can tell you I know less than five.
Wow. Subhanallah.
Mm.
Wow. So I want to talk a little bit about the podcast. What was the intention behind that you said, you know what, this is what needs to be done?
The podcast was very interesting because I don't like I said, a part of my fear was like, I don't want to be the face of things.
Yeah.
Who decides to do a podcast? And it's you're the voice and you're the face and you're like, this is you.
Yeah.
I can kind of hide behind the store because it's
Hmm.
so I can highlight products and that kind of stuff. But the idea kind of came because in the store, and I work with a lot of different business owners.
Yeah.
And in the store, it became, I would have conversations with people that would come in.
Mm,
And I was like, I'm having the same sorts of conversations.
mm,
Whether if it's the business owners, it's how we're maintaining, or what are you up to? And they're like, oh, well, I'm doing XYZ. And I'm like, yo, that's so dope. Like, what? You're
yeah.
doing this, and this person's doing this. And I'm fascinated also with what brought you to this point. So I'm
Mm,
like, there's something in just like I said with, serving the community. If you took the intentional route to say, my core audience are Muslims,
mm,
you have something in you that's like, I'm here to serve,
yeah.
because there's, billions of other people in the world. You could go very general. You
Hmm.
could, target a lot of different people. But if you're targeting Muslims, you have a connection to serve the community.
Mm,
And I just met so many people that I'm like, wow, like that. I was inspired by them.
mm,
They helped me in my business personally. And I just felt like, back to Muslim Girl Magic, that kind of started it. I feel like these people need to be celebrated.
yeah. Yeah.
So there aren't awards that we receive. There
Hmm.
aren't accolades that we receive. And you actually go through a lot trying to serve Muslims. You go through, you might go through criticism. You
Hmm.
might go through people try to shortchange you.
Hmm.
You like you might be, targeted by the haram police.
Hmm.
Like, but we need to celebrate each other.
Hmm.
So the basis of the podcast is like, I'm so inspired by these people,
Hmm.
and I want to celebrate you.
Hmm.
So I'm like, people have to know this side of you, or like what you have going on. And it's really a place to just tell people stories and push the ummah forward. Because like I said, when I was younger, we didn't have these kind of platforms.
Yeah.
I wasn't, a kid who aspired to have a business and could see publicly all these Muslim owned business owners, especially
Right.
Muslim, and like who are just publicly proud of who they are and serving their community and making money doing it.
Right.
So I felt compelled to like, I have to tell y'all stories.
Yeah.
Even my own story, like people, people, I talk to people and I'm starting to tell it more, but a lot of people they might see something on Instagram or they might see your success and they don't know what it took to get there. So if they don't get that instantly, they're like, oh, like maybe I should give up, or maybe I shouldn't, or maybe it wasn't a good idea. And it's like, no, it was. It literally just takes 5 years.
Yeah. Gotta be patient.
You got to be patient.
Yeah. So, what is the dream of the Ummah shop? Like, where do you see it going? Where would you like to see it go? Inshallah.
I would love to see it go to other cities. Um,
Okay.
definitely,
Franchising?
inshallah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I'm open to franchising. My phone is about to die, but I'm open to franchising. Um, I'm also open to, uh, so I want to brand and bring together like the concept of the Ummah.
Yeah.
So the what does the Ummah need?
Mm.
The and that's so vast,
So
but
vast.
it's it's really like, what does the Ummah need? So the Ummah needs um to be sustained economically.
Yeah.
I try to do that in a structure like the Ummah shop. Um, the Ummah needs social services. So I want to get involved in that in some way,
Mm-hmm.
because I also, as a result of being here, people come to me and express their need for social services,
What do you
whether
mean by social services?
um and not just like what social work is, but like whether that's Islamic schooling,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's uh, a shelter
Yeah.
that Muslims are comfortable going to,
Yeah.
whether that's there are too many Muslim women that are uh, struggling. There,
Mm.
I personally like. There's way too many Muslim women, especially that have children,
Mm-hmm.
that can't pay their rent, or um, are in homeless shelters, or
Mm.
can't provide for their children. We
Mm.
as a community should be able to have some service that they
Mm.
can do, or if they're escaping domestic violence, or if you know if your husband is the breadwinner of your family and he suddenly dies,
Yeah.
like things happen all the time, or that jail is a aspect of just Muslim community. Like, what is set up for these people if they fall on hard times?
Right. Right.
um Even just and being involved with children, and like wanting them to feel the confidence of, yeah, you're Muslim and it's okay and it's cool, and you don't have to pretend that you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to feel any shame.
You don't have to feel any shame. You could be proud. You could be you know you could
Mm.
be Muslim. And my biggest lesson in the Ummah shop has been being of service.
Mm.
And I feel like I'm trying to be of whatever service Allah has me be. um it's the most rewarding thing I've ever experienced in my life, ever.
Alhamdulillah.
I never would have thought that work could be this rewarding.
Mm.
And it's That's the biggest. It's amazing, and you don't know how much impact you're making, and that's for all of us, not just me, but for you, for anybody listening to the podcast. You don't know how much impact you're making by just being yourself and
Yeah.
being being confident in being Muslim and being secure in yourself and having good character.
Mm.
You're making impact.
Yeah.
Somebody around, like, wow, that she's a very generous person, or she's very kind, or and they associate that with Islam.
Yeah.
Like all those things, is so rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking on the person who may not realize that, they are a representation of Islam, um but more important than that, that they are somebody, let's say they're trying to start a business, they want to get out to being on their own. Can you talk to that person right now who feels like, I want to grow on social media, I want to become an entrepreneur, but what if I post the wrong thing, or I'm feeling insecure, and they feel like that's a faraway dream that they can't actually reach? Can you talk to them for a second?
Yes. You can, one, the impact is so much greater than your insecurity.
Hmm.
That's for your impact is so much greater than your insecurity. Like, I
Hmm.
was scared to death to do a podcast. I was literally filming the first episode of the podcast like, this is, I cannot believe I'm here. Why are, like, I'm on camera, like, this, oh my god, like, this is so weird, this is crazy. I would have never thought. I was pushed to do it because I knew that I can make an impact with it, or I knew like this needs to be done to serve the greater purpose that Allah has for me.
Hmm.
So you being in your own way, one, I truly believe in shaitan trying to keep you from doing the service that you need to do.
Yeah.
But what helps me get through it, and this is very practical, I I set it and forget it. Like in terms of posting content, in
Mm.
terms of I don't like I said, marketing is difficult for me.
Mm.
So I still have those feelings of fear.
Yeah.
I set it and forget it. I've never listened to an entire episode of my podcast. I I have to like put it out there and then not be critical of it.
Mm.
Because once you do put it out there, you have no idea where it might go, who it might impact. Um, it's so much greater than your fear.
Mm.
So I will, in my, one of my du'as every day is just, I just pray that Allah allows me to be of benefit to others.
Yeah.
So why did you get, if you're wanting to start a business, why did you get into it?
Mm.
Why, what's your why? Stick to that, and your Lord should be a part of that,
Mm.
because that's what's going to get you through. Like, we're not perfect. We're human. We have insecurities. We have fear. We have failure. Don't be afraid to. You cannot have. You gotta be okay with this. Might take a dip, and
Might not work out.
this might not work out, and this
Yeah.
might fall flat. But you have to have a overarching belief in yourself, but a belief in your Lord, to say like, he's, I want to do whatever he has me do.
Mm.
So if he has this for me, who am I to get in the way of that?
Mm.
Like, I have to. I feel compelled to. He keeps drawing me to this. Get out your own way, because the blessings on the other side are far greater than what you see in your insecurity.
Mm.
So I would just say, remember why you're doing this. Don't Don't think about how you might look or how you might sound. I hate the sound of my own voice and all that. Set it and forget it.
Yep.
Just do it. If sometimes when you post certain things or when you do certain things, it feels like you're jumping out the window.
Yeah.
Just jump and then literally close out of it and move on to the next thing, and you will feel so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it's kind of a booster when you take that, you conquer that fear, and you just face it uh uh straightforward. And after a while, it becomes a little bit easier to face,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's not so scary anymore as it once was.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, lastly, if you can tell the people what you're up to and where to find you.
Um. So you can find me at the Ummah shop on Instagram. Ummah Unplugged podcast on Instagram. Ummah Unplugged podcast on YouTube. Um, if you're interested in having your brand in the store, shoot me a DM at the Ummah shop or Instagram. What I'm up to, I'm about to begin filming season 2 of the podcast, which I'm
Nice.
super now I'm not scared. I'm just like excited.
Alhamdulillah. Mhm.
So I'm doing that. I'm gearing up for Ramadan, inshallah.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
excited about getting Ramadan is my favorite time of the year. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to work through, what we're going to have, if we're going to do something exciting in the store, etc. But I'm really excited.
Yeah. Inshallah, it all pans out. And I just want to say Jazakallah khair for coming on. I really, really appreciate it.
Why,
Um, Alhamdulillah. And yeah, I will close it out with that one.
thank
So
you so much.
yeah, no problem.